Meet doesn't allow me to record, so I've used OBS to record. Let's say this. So, uh, Tirtha Yatra. Welcome to today's session. Sorry for the glitch. So today's topic is virtual Tirtha Yatra. Unfortunately, during the present times, we cannot visit places physically. So we'll have to be satisfied with the virtual yatras itself. So Tirtha Yatra, how did this concept come into picture? So, in all religions and cultures, there is a concept of traveling to pilgrimage places, traveling to spiritual places. So, if you take Islam, so there is a concept of visiting Hajj at least once in a person's lifetime. If you take Christianity, there are a lot of people who want to visit places like Jerusalem and Vatican City. At least they want to visit once in a lifetime. Even in India, there are places like Velangani and Pundi, church where people want to visit. If you take Sanatana Hindu Dharma, there are also a lot of such pilgrimage places which people take it once in a lifetime or multiple times. They want to visit the same temple or different temples. If you take a temple like a Tirupati, so you have like thousands of visitors coming every single day. Sometimes the count is in lakhs also. In per single day, the number of visitors in a temple given day is lakhs of people. So why do these people do this Tirtha Yatra? So there is a cultural reason for it. There is a social reason for it. There is a health reason for it. So let's try to understand all these things. So when we say Tirtha Yatra, the first thing that comes to our mind is uh, we will go for Tirtha Yatra in our old age. So that's what some people say. So I have a couple of friends who, when I visit, who when I invite to go for a visit, a temple visit, they say no, it is too early for me. Let me visit temples in my old age. Now let me enjoy life. So this is what some people say. Not all. Some people say like this. So where is this thought coming from? Where is this thought process coming from? Let's try to understand with the help of today's presentation and see how it is different aspects of Tirtha Yatra. So the cultural importance of Tirtha Yatra. So people in south of India always will say, especially the older generation, will always say that I should visit Kashi once in a lifetime, or I want to visit Badrinath, or I want to visit Dwaraka. Mainly, they might say, I want to visit Kashi at least once in a lifetime. And people in the north of India, especially the older generation, they would say, I want to visit Rameshwaram, which is the south of India. So people from the north want to visit temple in the south. People from south want to visit temple in the north. This is how the whole system was made, so that there is a cultural exchange between North India and South India. There is a difference in culture. So when we visit those places, we try to know about their culture as well. You are not just going to visit the temple and come back. You are going to meet the people there. You are going to meet the other places there. You are going to meet the people there, right? So this way, there is also a cultural exchange. So between the north of India and south of India, there is a lot of difference in culture. Through this Tirtha Yatra, there used to be a cultural exchange. Unlike today, where information is available at the fingertips, in the olden days it was not possible. So visiting from South India to a Kashi would be like nothing less than a 3 months event, right? So in this 3 months, they will get to meet a lot of people, lot of different people, and their hospitality and their way of life and their food. So it's very important for this to happen, and this created a bond between people of the north and people of the south. So similarly, when the people of the north used to come to South India, they used to see a difference in culture, a difference in food, and when they went back, they also took that back. So it is important that culturally, that Tirtha Yatra was also contributing to cultural integrity and wellness of the whole Bharatvarsha. Social importance. Whether it is present day, or it is 1,000 years back, or 1,000 years in the future, there will always be a, what do you call, a difference in way a 25, 30 years person is thinking and the 50-year person is thinking. Even today, even 1,000 years back, even 1,000 years in the future. So somebody who's in his 20s and 30s, their thought process will be different, children. And somebody who's in his 50s and 60s, that their parents, their thought process will be different. And because of this difference in thought process, there will be some misunderstanding or clash or fight in the family. To avoid this, Tirtha Yatra used to help. So how is Tirtha Yatra helping in this? Unlike present day, in the olden days, visiting a place, a place of pilgrimage, used to take 1 month to 3 months to 6 months time, because people used to either go by foot or go by bullock cart. So the journey itself used to take a lot of time, and when they go there, they used to spend a minimum of 1 month in that place, at least a week. So 1 week to 1 month they spend in that place and then they come back. So what this used to do is, the the generation who's in 20s and 30s, the son and his wife, they used to think that my parents have gone for pilgrimage and they have come back. I should take care of them very nicely. And they know that they're going to stay only 1 month or 2 months in the house, and again they have to going for another pilgrimage. Say they went to Kashi and came back, then they will go to Dwaraka and come back. So the whole journey will take 3 to 6 months, and they'll come back. They'll stay for 1 month, and then they'll go to the west, say Puri Jagannath. So this way, the parents' generation who are 50s and 60s will be continuously traveling, come back home, stay for some time, and then again go back. So when this is happening, the son and the wife will also take care of their parents, thinking that they are going to just stay for a month, and then they are going to, go for a pilgrimage again. And the parents' generation is also happy that my son and daughter-in-law are taking care of us very nicely. So this used to avoid the clashes between the person who is in his 20s and 30s versus a person who is in his 50s and 60s, because there was a social norm to do Tirtha Yatra or pilgrimage. So they used to visit places and come back. When they come back, they just stay for a short period and then again go for the next pilgrimage. So this way, the harmony within the household was maintained, right? So this was possible because in the earlier days, their health was very good, right? Their health was very good, and both physical and spiritual health. So when I say spiritual health, what I mean is they used to be spiritually oriented right from their childhood. So when they are spiritually oriented from their childhood, in the age of 50s and 60s, they are still spiritually inclined and they can go for the pilgrimage and Tirth Yatra and other spiritual activities. But in the present day, what is happening is, since we are not started our life with spiritual inclination, at the age of 50s and 60s, people are sitting at home watching TV and with a remote and a TV, and they are not, doing the travel of yatra. Again, because of this, there will be a clash between a person who's in 20s and 30s and 50s and 60s, because their thought process will be different, their priorities will be different. So it is important for people to travel for Tirtha Yatra. So that's how the whole system was built. But in the present, so this way their health also used to be maintained. So somebody who's in 30s and 40s will be working in the house or outside, so they're doing a lot of physical activities, so their health is maintained. So somebody who's in 50s and 60s, they are kind of retired from their active life, and they will be just sitting around and chatting. So Tirtha Yatra forced them to do a lot of extensive travel on barefoot or through vehicle. So this used to keep their health also good. So a person who's retired should not be just sitting in one place and watching TV. He has to do some kind of an activity. Since there are no household activities for them, so this Tirth Yatra used to help them because they have to travel extensively and come back. So it also had taken care of their health. So this was the previous generation, the past generations of the day. But in present, if you say at the age of 50 and 60, maybe when we are 50 and 60, maybe our health may not be good because the kind of food that we are eating, the kind of lifestyle we are eating, so we may not be in that good health to 50 and 60. So this is where the argument of my friend who said I will go in my old age doesn't hold good, because in the old age, whether our physical health will be there good or not, our eyesight will be strong or not, our legs will be strong or not, we don't know. So in the present time, it is better to visit the places of pilgrimage as as and when you're young and when it is possible, because in the old age, whether we'll be in physical and mental health to visit or not, if we can visit, it is very good. But if we can't visit, at least we can think of these places when we uh, visited them when we were young. So in the present time, if you are young, you should visit temple. In the present time, if you are a retired person in your 50s and 60s, you should still visit, right? So that's how the health aspect of it. So this is a very overall bird's eye view of why the Tirtha Yatra pilgrimage has its importance in our present life, and how it is helping us maintain a good social, cultural exchange. It is helping us to maintain good health, and it is also a social norm, right? So when you visit for some time and come back, so the son who is in his 20s and 30s will take care of the parents very well, because they have come back from the extensive travel, and he knows that they are going to go to the next pilgrimage very soon. So, so this way it was always a social way to handle the clash between a person who's in 30s and a person who's in 50s. So Tirtha Yatra, coming to the word Tirtha Yatra. So what is this word Tirtha? Tirtha means place of pilgrimage. And how does a place becomes Tirtha? Means a place of worship is by the person who's there, by the devotee who is there. So Tirtha Kurvanti Tirthani, that's what it is said in Sanskrit, meaning a place is made a pilgrimage, a place is made a Tirtha by the great saintly person who are staying there. So in the olden days, how it used to happen that when they are going there, it's not that they are going with booking their tent ticket, right? They are not going to go in front of the DT for 5 minutes or 2 minutes and just fold hands and then move. They're going to stay in that place for some time because it's extensive travel. They travel for 1 or 2 months. They will go to that place, and in that place they will stay. So there will be a lot of chatra and matha, wherein they can stay for months together, and there, that's how the things will happen. So these temples will be built in a place where there is a lot of positive energy. Just by visiting there for 5 minutes and coming back, we will not be able to observe a lot of positive energy. So when we go and stay there for a week or 2 weeks or a month, we observe a lot of positive vibe from that place. We observe a lot of spiritual energy from that place. And then people used to come back. So in the stay of this 1 week or 1 month, they used to associate with a lot of devotees and saintly people there. So that's why this place becomes a tirtha. So the place is made a pilgrimage by the devotees and the saints who are there. So when the saints are there, they make this place Tirtha. Tirtha Kurvanti Tirthani. A place is made pilgrimage by the devotees. And when we associate with them, we also become devotees. So when an iron is put into fire, after a certain point of time, it will turn red. And it will acquire all the properties of fire. So it is no more iron, it will become fire. So 1 month of time when we stay in this saintly, in the association of these saintly people, so we also become like them. So this is the most important thing of Tirtha Yatra. Of course, in the present day, we'll have to see how we can do it. But the whole point of a pilgrimage is not just going in front of the DT. Of course, there is security for going in front of the DT and coming back. But if you go to a place of pilgrimage, you should stay there at least a day, at the worst case. If possible, you can stay for more, but at least for a day you should stay in the dham or the tirtha. Today we'll talk about the Srirangam temple. Srirangam temple is situated in the state of Tamil Nadu. It is close to a place called as Trichy. Srirangam, if you see, it is a city that is there inside the temple. So generally we will see a city, and in the city, temple is there. Say Madurai city is there. Inside that, Meenakshi temple is there. Tirumala city is there. In that, Tirupati Balaji temple is there. So you will find a city or a town. In that town, the temple is there. But Srirangam is different. Srirangam, the town of Srirangam is inside the temple. The temple has 7 compound walls. When you calculate the whole 7 walls, that is the actual, you can say, as Srirangam. So in that temple you will have shops. In the temple you will have houses. In the temple you have hotels, lodges, everything. Everything is within the temple's compound wall. 7 layers of the temple wall is there. Inside that, all these places are there. So Srirangam is a city which is inside the temple of Srirangam. Such is the temple of Srirangam. So when somebody visits, they will understand that how the temple is surrounded by 4 sides with a compound wall, and inside the temple compound wall you have all the city, the people, houses, which you see in any other place. The main deity of Srirangam temple is Sri Ranganatha Swami. This deity was originally worshipped by sun god Vivaswan, which was given to him by Lord Brahma. So in the sun god's family comes Lord Ramachandra, Ikshvaku Vamshaj, Lord Ramachandra. So Rama was worshipping this deity of Ranganatha, and after the battle with Ravana, when Lord Rama comes back to Ayodhya, he is very pleased with the service of Vibhishana, Ravana's brother, and he gifts him this deity of Lord Ranganatha. And Vibhishana is carrying this deity to his place Lanka. When he is carrying to this place of Lanka, so he stops for performing his evening prayers, and he sees a nice place where a river is forming an island. So river Kaveri comes and splits into 2 parts and then goes further and again joins. So river is forming an island of Srirangam. So the Ravana's brother Vibhishana places the Lord Ranganatha deity in this river island and goes and performs his evening puja. And when he comes back and he tries to lift the Ranganatha deity, he is not able to lift. He tries all his effort with all his strength, he is still not able to lift. And then he becomes very sad. Then the Lord appears in front of him and says that the Lord likes this beautiful river island and he wants to be here, and he asks Vibhishana to build the temple. So then Vibhishana builds the temple, and then later on in the different time period by different Alvar devotees, the other compound walls have been built. So totally today we can see 7 compound walls around the temple. Okay. So this is the deity which was worshipped by Brahma, which was worshipped by sun god, and in the Ikshvaku lineage worshipped by Lord Ramachandra and gifted to Vibhishana. And Vibhishana, when he was carrying to Lanka, he places in this river island and he is not able to lift the deity again, and then he builds the temple. So this is the historically how this temple came into existence. So in this photo we can see how the city is there, and how the compound walls are there, and it's a very interesting thing. If you have not visited Srirangam, I strongly recommend that you visit whenever it is possible. So why did Lord choose this river island of Kaveri to stay? Earlier in the past, river Kaveri had prayed to the Lord Ranganatha, telling that Lord, your feet was washed by Karanajala, and that becomes Ganga water. So the Ganga is the water that was washed your feet, Lord Vishnu's feet, and that is Ganga water. Yamuna water is where Lord played in the Yamuna when he was in Mathura and in Vrindavan. So Lord played in the Yamuna water. So Lord Ganga and Yamuna have got this nice boon of serving you. But unfortunately, I am not able to serve you. So Please bless me, please give me service. So for this, the Lord says, in the future I will come and settle in your bank. So because to honor this prayer of uh, Kaveri, Lord chooses this river island to settle when Vibhishana is carrying. So the river that is making island, so that is encompassing this land of Srirangam. So the river, Kaveri river comes, splits into two, then again goes and joins and merges, and forming a river island. And in this river island, we can see the temple of Srirangam. As I already said, the temple is having like seven compound walls, and this temple is visited by a lot of devotees, including Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Alvars. So out of 12 Alvars, 11 Alvars have sung 246 Pasurams here. So Alvar are the devotees, 12 Alvars, 11 male Alvar and 1 female Alvar Andal have sung extensively about praising the Lord Vishnu, and they have identified 108 temples where Lord is very easily accessible. Everybody is looking for where is Lord, where is Lord, where is the Tirtha, where is the Lord. So these 12 Alvar devotees have sung special songs called as Pasurams in 108 temples in all over India, one in Nepal and two in other planets. So total of 108 temples where they have sung special songs called as Pasurams. So it is their way of telling that in this temple the Lord is very easily accessible. Like how he was blessed Kaveri, like this that the pastime happened in Srirangam. So like this, each 108 Dividation has different pastimes. And in this temple of Srirangam, 246 pasurams have been sung by different Alvar devotees. Out of which one of the Alvar devotees sings very nicely about the Lord. He says, Pachema Madepon Meli, meaning the Lord's form is like a beautiful green mountain. Pavalavai Kamalachangan, meaning your eyes are beautiful like pearls. So, like this, Alvar devotees describe the Lord very nicely. And further, he says that I don't want to become the king of heavens. I don't want to be Indra. He says, I don't want to be Indra, but rather you make me a madman and you put me in Srirangam. So this is the song of one of the Alvars, wherein he's saying the position of king of heaven, Indra, is not required for me. I don't want that. But you put me in Srirangam. Such is the importance of the place Srirangam. Srirangam is also called as Bhuloga Vaikuntham, because even Tirupati is also called as Bhulokam. Srirangam is also called as Bhuloka Vaikuntham. So we have access to the Lord and his devotees and his pastime in this place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during his visit of South India, stayed 4 months in Srirangam during the Chaturmasya. So in the Prakaram, in the Srirangam Prakaram, when we are coming, we can also see this temple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's called the Jagannath temple. So in this temple, we can see the deities carved by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and worshipped by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 4 months in the time of Chaturmasya. So this place is of high spiritual importance. So it's a big temple. So it will take around half a day to at least just to see the temple. And around the temple, there are a lot of places to stay. You have fancy 2-star, 3-star accommodation. At the same time, you have a lot of mutts which are there. So staying in mutt is a way of contributing back to the dharma, because you can stay in hotel. It's a person's preference. I would leave it at that. But when you're staying in mutt, you're kind of contributing to the mutt's welfare. So mutt will be taking care of the brahmacharis who are there. They will be feeding a lot of people. So you're contributing to that. So if you are going to Srirangam, I would recommend to try and stay in the mutt if possible. The facilities will be minimal. You may not have an AC. You may not have hot water. The facilities may not be much. But when you're staying in that mutts and ashrams, that will complete the whole experience, right? In a hotel, you might get the facilities, but you are missing out on something that is more important. As I told earlier, the Tirth Yatra is complete when you are associating with the devotees. In the mutt, you have access to the saintly people there. You can interact with them. So I recommend that if you're going for Srirangam, please try to stay one overnight there, if possible more. And when you're staying, try to stay in the mutt. So you are also helping the economy of the place. You are also helping the mutt, and you're also getting an opportunity to associate with the devotees. Okay. So this is a quick brief about Srirangam. Of course, to to talk about Srirangam, one entire life time is required. Such is the glorious pastime of Srirangam. In a small session of half an hour, it cannot be covered. I've tried to touch upon the top highlights. So please start this culture of visiting pilgrimage. Don't wait for your 50s and 60s. Better if you visit now. Of course, in your 50s and 60s, you can still visit again, but it is good to start the practice of visiting now. Some people take it as a boon, as a vow to visit all the 106 Divyadesham in one lifetime. Some people take it, I want to visit one place of pilgrimage every 6 months or every 3 months. Today we have the facility of quicker transport. Over a weekend you can go, stay and come back. So you can do that. If possible, try to stay overnight. And if you are in a retired stage of life, try to stay more in the place of pilgrimage. So that's what now I'll end the session. To quickly summarize, Tirth Yatra are there in all different cultures. Some people of Islam will try to visit Hajj at least once in a lifetime. People who are following Christianity, they will want to visit Vatican City, or they want to visit Jerusalem or Velangani. So similarly, in the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, there are thousands and thousands of temples all around India, from north to south, east to west. So people in the north wanted to visit South Indian temples, especially Rameshwaram, at least once in a lifetime. People in South India wanted to visit Kashi at least once in a lifetime. And this is how the cultural exchange used to happen between the north and south. And there is also a social call. So when a person is retired, he has more free time. That free time he can engage in spiritual activities by visiting this pilgrimage and coming back and staying there for some time. And this also avoided the clashes between the younger generation. And the younger generation is also happy because he knows that the parents are going to stay for 1 month and then they are going for the next pilgrimage. So in this 1 month, let me take care of them very nicely. And the parents are also happy because they are seeing that the son and daughter-in-law are taking care of them very nicely in this 1 month. So they're also pleased. So it's a win-win situation. So that's the social cause of the Tirth Yatra. And there's a health reason also. So sitting idle, definitely the body will start to harm one's own body. So take up the next task. So they used to take up one Tirth Yatra, come back, and the next Tirth Yatra. So this way, even in the retired stage, they were kind of active physically, traveling and coming to and fro. Then we discussed about Srirangam temple. Srirangam, the Buloga Vaikuntham, the how the 7 compound walls are built, and how there is an entire city, a small city sitting inside the temple, right? And how the prayer of Kaveri, the Lord wanted to honor the prayer of Kaveri, and he comes and settles in this beautiful river island. And how the different Alvars have sung beautiful pasarams. And one of the pasaram, the Alvar is saying, I don't want to be the king of heaven, I'd rather be a person living in Srirangam. Such is the importance of Srirangam. With this, we'll stop our session. If there are any questions, we can take.